Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching World News. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and these are the latest headlines. High-level talks between U.S. and Ukrainian delegations are underway in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. The discussions aim to repair strained ties between Washington and Kyiv following a dispute between their leaders in the Oval Office, as well as to revive a stalled minerals deal between the two countries. Since taking office, U.S. President Donald Trump has increased pressure on Kyiv, leading to a public clash with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. In response, Washington halted aid to Ukraine and temporarily paused intelligence sharing with Kyiv. However, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who is leading the U.S. delegation, confirmed that intelligence sharing has now resumed. The talks come just hours after Ukraine launched its largest drone attack on Russia since the start of the full-scale war.
Dear Americans, dear Ukrainians, don't waste this chance. The whole world is watching you in Jeddah today. Good luck.
As U.S.-Ukraine talks on a potential ceasefire begin in Saudi Arabia, TVP World expert and former foreign policy advisor to the Speaker of the Ukrainian Parliament, Vera Konstantinova, emphasized that the negotiations must not come at the cost of weakening Ukraine's military capabilities.
In terms of supporting Ukraine's position, in terms of supporting Ukraine's efforts to have long-lasting peace, we need to have weapons. We need to have instruments to protect our children. So in these terms, I believe that we have a good start with our American partners in terms of understanding what is critical for Ukraine on this stage, at this stage of negotiation processes.
The European Court of Justice is calling Poland's 2021 Constitutional Court ruling as an unprecedented rebellion. Under the previous conservative government, Poland's Constitutional Tribunal ruled that the ECJ had no authority over the country's judiciary, a decision that has fueled an ongoing legal battle with the EU. We now go live to our correspondent in Strasbourg, Kazimierz Wyszak. Kazimierz, so what are the implications of this case and what happens next?
Hello, Ben. Like you said, this case is against the previous conservative government of the Law and Justice Party in Poland, and it concerns the rulings from 2021. The ruling said that basically the EU had no authority and the ECJ had no authority to issue any penalties for Poland for its judicial changes. Now, the MEPs from the current center liberal ruling coalition in Poland have welcomed this opinion from the Attorney General Dean Spielman, calling it the unprecedented rebellion, because they want to make changes to the judiciary to reverse it back to the previous order, to basically give the Constitutional Tribunal in Poland, one of the highest courts in Poland, back its independence. Let's listen to some of the words from one of the MEPs, Michał Awrykiewicz.
Well, this is the opinion of the Attorney General of the Court of Justice of the European Union that we've been waiting for a couple of years, actually. This is a very important opinion, and I suppose that the future verdict of the European Court of Justice will be in the same line, meaning that Polish Constitutional Court, led by Julia Przyłębska, was and still is not the independent and impartial court in the meaning of the European Union law.
So the opinion. We have the opinion of the Attorney General. What does it mean? What are the implications? Well, this case now has to be decided by the judges of the European Court of Justice, and the opinion of the Attorney General can serve as a reference point for the justices of this court. So it's not legally binding in any way, but it often is what the judges actually decide. So this opinion is definitely significant. We can expect the judges of the ECJ to actually agree with that opinion. Now, in terms of any repercussions for Poland, this is still unclear. However, the current Central Liberal coalition definitely wants to bring back the order to the Polish judiciary. They already prepared a set of bills to do it, but the current president of Poland, Andrzej Duda, who hails from the Conservative Law and Justice Party, refused to sign them. So now the attention of the ruling coalition is turning to the presidential election in May. So they are hoping to get their own president elected so they can make these changes actually happen. The current government has already made some changes to the Polish judiciary where they could, and it has already unfrozen some funds from the EU for Poland, which have been frozen for the past several years because of the actions of the previous conservative government. All of this dates back to 2016 when the Law and Justice Party, the government of the Law and Justice, decided to make a set of changes in the Polish judiciary, causing massive protest in Poland and controversy surrounding these changes. So now the current government wants to reverse it back, and they are very thankful for the ECJ for this opinion because they say it gives them ground to continue with these changes.
All right, thank you so much, Kazimierz, for helping us unpack this situation. And in the meantime, appreciate it. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen told the European Parliament on Tuesday that this is a moment for peace through strength. She also described Europe's unity on security as unprecedented.
Peace in our union can no longer be taken for granted. We are facing a crisis of European security, but we know that it is in crises that Europe has always been built. So this is a moment for peace through strength. This is the moment for a common defense effort. And at the European Council, I saw a level of consensus on European defense which is not just unprecedented, but was completely unthinkable only a few weeks ago. There is a new understanding that we must think differently and act accordingly. We have started to mobilize Europe's massive resources, and in the coming weeks and months, more courage will be necessary, and other difficult choices await us.
Lithuania is planning to boost its defense spending to as much as 6% of its GDP in a move to shore up its security. The country's finance minister made the announcement on Thursday morning, just as European officials gathered in Brussels to discuss sanctions on Russia and other EU military financing issues. Our EU correspondent, Angela Skujins, is in Brussels and has this report.
On the 35th anniversary of Lithuania's restitution of its independence, we heard that Baltic country's finance minister announced that he would like to increase military spending to at least 6% of gross domestic product. Now, this would be a significant scale up as that country currently allocates at least 3% of GDP to its military capabilities. This represents roughly 2.5 billion euros. So this would be a significant investment. The comments came ahead of high-level economic and financial talks in the Belgian capital. Let's take a listen to what that finance minister had to say about that announcement.
The problem of security that was along with us all 35 years in Lithuania. Now we should reinforce our security, and for that we need not 2, not 3, but up to 6% of GDP spending on the defense. And I'm very glad that among our colleagues at the Ministers of Finance, there is already a rising consensus that the proposals that have been put by the Commission very recently should be supported, and that security is our common European public good, which requires also common European financing.
TVP World asked the finance minister how he expects to come up with that money, and he admitted that it was a tricky issue that could be overcome by increasing taxes as well as tapping into new EU funds. He's referring to the Rearm Europe plan, which comprises of a 150 billion euro investment mechanism. Now, other top-level issues that will be discussed today include the Rearmament Bank. This is a bold proposal pushed forward by Warsaw. Other issues will be mobilising frozen Russian assets. Let's take a listen to what Poland's finance minister Andrzej Domanski said about that Rearmament Bank.
There are plenty of proposals on the table, and Polish presidency, we are ready to discuss all of them, as we believe there is no single tool that will work. We need to find multiple solutions, and some solutions will be suitable for particular countries. And we do believe that the time to act is now. We need to build a strong European defense industry, and we need to secure financing for this huge rearmament that's needed in Europe.
Now, while it is clear it might take some convincing to get those other finance ministers across the line when it comes to that increased military defence spending targets, we know that Poland has been spearheading the push. We're also expecting more comments and final outcomes of these high-level talks today in Brussels at around 3 o'clock. Angela Skujins from the Belgian capital for TVP World.
Defense ministers and military leaders from 30 countries are meeting in Paris on Tuesday to discuss security assistance for Ukraine. The talks bring together European and NATO nations as they assess long-term support for Kyiv. Officials will focus on the future of military aid to Ukraine, as well as efforts to strengthen and modernize European defense capabilities. The Paris summit coincides with U.S. Ukraine talks in Saudi Arabia, where Washington's support for Kyiv is also under discussion. And with that, we conclude this edition of World News. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.